Namaste. Welcome back. I hope all of you had a good lunch. And we are running about 15 minutes late with our afternoon session. And now we will get started with bhajan and devotional songs. Followed by that, we'll be having discourse by Mataji. Then we'll be having open forum as well as the book signing of the books authored by Mataji. Followed by Aarti and meditation. Then we will adjourn for the day. So let's get started with the bhajan and devotional songs. Thank you.
Pranam to Thakur Maharaj Swamiji. Pranam Mataji. I'll start. ঠাকুরানী মোর শিব পাশে যেন শিবানী তাপে চন্দ্রমা দিনন সাগরের বুকে লহরী যেমন লীলা তরঙ্গ বিলাসিনী পরে দোহার করে নমস্কার যোগী বড় জোর যোগিনী পরে দোহার করে নমস্কার চির যোগী চির যোগিনী পরম পুরুষ শ্রীরাম কৃষ্ণ পরম পুরুষ শ্রীরাম কৃষ্ণ পরমানন্দী সারদামণি শিবভাসে যেন শিবাদিনী পদে দোহার করে নমস্কার যোগী বালো চির যোগিনী পরম পুরুষ শ্রীরাম কৃষ্ণ পরমানন্দী সারদামণি ভাসে যেন শিবাদিনী ঠাকুরের পাশে ঠাকুরানী মোর শিব পাশে যেন শিবাদিনী শিব পাশে যেন শিবাদিনী শিব পাশে যেন শিবাদিনী जय देव देव करुणावतार जगदेव संसार सार जय देव देव करुणावतार जगदेव संसार सार जय देव देवा माया विहीन सचित स्वरूप लीला विलास कृत विविध रूप माया विहीन सचित स्वरूप लीला विलास कृत विविध रूप राजाधिराज भुवनैक भूप राजाधिराज भुवनैक भूप भूताधिवास भवकर्णधार जय देव देव करुणावतार जगदेकगम्य संसार सार जय देव देवा चैतन्यनाथ स्वानंद कांद भवरोग वैध जित निखिल बंध चैतन्यनाथ स्वानंद कांद भवरोग वैध जित निखिल बंध अतुल प्रताप
रिपुदल कराल अतुल प्रताप रिपुदल कराल साधक विशुद्ध मानस विहार जय देव देव करुणावतार जगदेक गम्य संसार सार जय देव देव विश्वप्रणम्य त्रयतापनाश कामादिदोष हरचित् प्रकाश विश्वप्रणम्य त्रयतापनाश कामादिदोष हरचित् प्रकाश प्रणतोऽस्मि नाथ शरणं प्रयाच प्रणतोऽस्मि नाथ शरणं प्रयाच हे राम कृष्ण भवभय निवार जय देव देव करुणावतार जगदेक गम्य संसार सार जय देव देव करुणावतार जगदेक गम्य संसार सार जय देव देव जय देव देव जय देव देव कृपा संतान परयम जगत जननी शारदे दर्शन दान कर सब शोक मोह निवार दे कृपा संतान परयव भ्रांति बंधन मुक्ति सारी जननी लीला है तुम्हारी भ्रांति बंधन मुक्ति सारी जननी लीला है तुम्हारी पूर्ण भावे पार भव में पूर्ण भावे पार भव में जो न तू भाग दे कृपा संतान परयव करुणामयी हो तनय प्रतिनानी हृदय हो तुम परमा करुणामयी हो तनय प्रतिनानी हृदय हो शरण दे निज चरण में अब शरण दे निज चरण में अब घोर भव जाल तार दर्शन ज्ञान कर सब शोक मोह निवार दे कर कृपा संतान परयव कर कृपा संतान परयव कर कृपा संतान परयव।
করুণা মাথার জননী আমার এলে মা করুণা করিতে করুণা মাথার জননী আমার এলে মা করুণা করিতে তাপিতের তরে নরদেহ ধরে তাপিতের তরে নরদেহ ধরে অশেষ যাতনা সহিতে এলে মা করুণা করিতে ত্রিদিব ত্যাজিয়া এ ধরায় আশা সন্তান্তরে কত কাঁদা হাসা ত্রিদিব ত্যাজিয়া এ ধরায় আশা সন্তান্তরে কত কাঁদা হাসা অহেতুক তব এই ভালোবাসা অহেতুক তব এই ভালোবাসা পারি কি গো মোরা বুঝিতে এলে মা করুণা করিতে শত জনমের সব পাপ দিয়েছি ঢালিয়া ওই রাঙা পায় শত জনমের সব পাপ দিয়েছি ঢালিয়া ওই রাঙা পায় সকলি তো তুমি সহিলে হেলায় সকলি তো তুমি সহিলে হেলায় ফুল দিতে কত তাপিতে এলে মা করুণা করিতে আবিলতা ভরা হৃদয় আমার কেমনে বুঝিব শ্রীপদ তোমার আবিলতা ভরা হৃদয় আমার কেমনে বুঝিব শ্রীপদ তোমার নয়ন ভরিয়া দাও প্রেম ধার নয়ন ভরিয়া দাও প্রেম ধার পদ পঙ্কজ শুধু আতে মা করুণা করিতে করুণা পাথার জননী আমার এলে মা করুণা করিতে এলে মা করুণা করিতে এলে মা করুণা করিতে
কাজিরে নানান্দে মনরে
আজি প্রেমানন্দ মনরে গাহো রাম কৃষ্ণ গাহো রাম কৃষ্ণ জপ রাম কৃষ্ণ রাম কৃষ্ণ জপ রাম কৃষ্ণ নাম সুধা পায়ে রহো আজি প্রেমানন্দে মনরে গাহো রাম কৃষ্ণ আমারো
कैसे लगाऊं तुमसे मैं प्रीत, कैसे लगाऊं तुमसे मैं प्रीत, अस्थिर बुद्धि मन चंचला चित, अस्थिर बुद्धि मन चंचला चित, राम कृष्ण प्रभु इसियक के नायक, मैं दास तेरा चरणाश्रित, कैसे लगाऊं तुमसे मैं प्रीत, कैसे लगाऊं तुमसे मैं प्रीत। हर पल होता जग में परिवर्तन, हर पल होता जग में परिवर्तन, जय चेतन के तुम हो चेतन, बन आए अब चंद्रमणि सुता, बन आए अब चंद्रमणि सुता, अचिंत्य लीला तब जीव अद्भुता, कैसे लगाऊं तुमसे मैं प्रीत, कैसे लगाऊं तुमसे मैं प्रीत। सबके मना तुम है अवगत, हृदय निवासी साक्षी स्वरूपरत, प्रगट हुए करने जग का हिता, प्रगट हुए करने जग का हिता, तन मन प्राण किए समर्पित, रूप तुम्हारा रहे चित्त में गीता, रूप तुम्हारा रहे चित्त में गीता, सदा सेवा में प्रभु से भारत, प्रेम हृदय से गाऊं तेरे गीता, प्रेम हृदय से गाऊं तेरे गीता, मेरी जीत में होगी तेरी जीत, कैसे लगाऊं तुमसे मैं प्रीत, कैसे लगाऊं तुमसे मैं प्रीत, अस्थिर बुद्धि किसी एक के नायक मैं हूँ दास तेरा चरणाश्रिता कैसे लगाऊं तुमसे मैं प्रीत कैसे लगाऊं तुमसे मैं प्रीत कैसे लगाऊं तुमसे मैं प्रीत। জয় বীরেশ্বর বিবেক ভাস্কর জয় জয় শ্রী বিবেকানন্দ জয় বীরেশ্বর বিবেক ভাস্কর জয় জয় শ্রী বিবেকানন্দ ইন্দু নিভানন সুন্দর লোচন ইন্দু নিভানন সুন্দর লোচন বিশ্বমানব চির বন্ধন জয় বীরেশ্বর বিবেক ভাস্কর জয় জয় শ্রী বিবেকানন্দ প্রেম ঢল ঢল কান্তি সুবিমল অধিগত বেদ বেদান্ত তপসায় জন চিত্ত নির্মল শান্ত জয় বীরেশ্বর বিবেক ভাস্কর জয় জয় শ্রী বিবেকানন্দ কর্ম ভক্তি জ্ঞান ত্রিশূল ধারণ ছেদন জীব মোহ বন্ধন ব্রহ্ম পরায়ণ নমো নারায়ণ দেহি দেহি চরণার জয় বীরেশ্বর বিবেক ভাস্কর জয় জয় শ্রী বিবেকানন্দ জয় জয় শ্রী বিবেকানন্দ জয় জয় শ্রী বিবেকানন্দ
And before that, and we have the first select woman of the city here to see Mataji, so and also our community.
You got the mic a little bit?
Yeah, ওইটাই দিতে হবে এটাই।
You want to say hello to anyone? Hi. Give her the mic.
She will say a few words.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. I really wasn't planning on speaking, but I want to welcome you to our town. Welcome you with open arms. He was very welcoming, becoming very inclusive, and I'm loving to learn everything that you have to offer. Patel was just telling me a few things about the happiness and explaining to my daughter that money does not buy happiness. Your car is not going to buy you happiness. You getting good grades is going to give me happiness. So I would love to listen to what you have to say. I want to share what you have to say. I'm very active on our Facebook page, on our Instagram, and whatever message I can get out to our residents to make the world a kinder, happier place. That is what I want to do. So thank you so much for coming to our lovely town.
Today, Mataji's talk has all these habits about habits. We had about the 90 minutes session in the morning. We are going to continue for the next 1 hour. It's all about habits.
We have a small announcement now. Deepak will come.
First woman, Mataji, fellow devotees, ladies and gentlemen. After the nice lunch you had, I'm sure the brain activities might be slowing down as the blood is gushing towards the stomach to digest all the good food. So I want to make sure that basically you are revving up your mind so you're all ready for the next leg of Mataji's lecture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change course a little bit and dwell from what I call is the so-called Bhajananda to a Vyavaharic kind of a thing, a domain actually. And the thing, even though it's Vyavaharic, what I'm going to talk about, but as far implication is supporting the Bhajananda part of the aspect of it. So what I want to talk about is basically, as you know, this center has undertaken a project to basically expand the facility of this center. And I am one of a few individuals who have come forward to help out the center in raising funds for the project. As a heads up, I'm going to be calling on you directly, asking for your support in this whole endeavor. Now, the question I have is basically once I've been, the question I pose to you is, the fact is when we come to you, you will have a lot of questions on what this project is all about, what it means, what it delivers, what value it provides to you actually. And I'm going to try to answer those questions the best I can. So when we come to you to ask for your assistance, you are going to make an informed decision in the process. That's my goal for the next few minutes. I'm going to be brief because I know I'm standing between you and Mataji's lecture. First of all, let's dwell on the information on this project. First, the what. What is this project all about? This project is an expansion project that basically is a construction for the facilities that the rectors over here who will be residing here or visiting here will be using actually. That's number one. Secondly, it's also an expansion of a dining hall where the devotees and the visiting swamis or resident swamis can basically interact in a very informal fashion. Mind you, a lot of questions are answered in those informal settings, not in the so-called Q&A session in the stuff. So that's so-called the what part. The next big question that comes up is the why. Let's peel back the onion a little bit. The first question that comes to mind is it a nice to have or a need to have? That's the first question. Okay, if it's a need to have, then why is it need to have for me personally? And I'm going to try to answer those questions for you. First of all, what is this project? As I said, the why part of it. The why is basically what I have to say. He said, either it's nice to have or a need to have. And that question was answered by none other than Swami Sarvananda Maharaj Ji and Armaginand Maharaj Ji when they were here back in June. And they said, the step that we are being taken is a step towards the ultimate goal of having a resident Swami over here in this center. And that's a loaded statement that was made. What that really means is that this is an evolution of a center run by the devotees to becoming a full-fledged center of the Ramakrishna order. And people who know what happens in the different centers, there are flooding of activities that go on in those centers that basically will help you transition from the Vyavaharic world to the Bhajananda world that Mataji was talking about today. So let's see what that means. Now, the question comes up is, what is this whole aspect about is the Bhajananda stuff that we're talking about? Let's look at the whole thing now. First, let's look at what is the need of an individual. As Mataji was talking about, that we have to transition from the Vyavaharic world to the Bhajananda world. Very first thing is we come here to listen to the Swamis, so we can learn. As you heard from Sarvapriyananda Maharaj, often he talks about when you listen to all this so-called the philosophy, Vedantic philosophies of the stuff, it's very intriguing. It's very intellectually very stimulating because it doesn't rely on faith. It's pure logic. That's very intellectually stimulating. But all the words that are said has very deep meaning. So questions have to be asked. You have to go through the manana process. The manana process basically means you have to think about all the things before you go to the nididhyasana, where you implement all those things. To that aspect of it, when you're asking typical all the questions you have, a lot of questions come up. And that have to be answered before you make the progress. I'll give you a metaphorical one thing. For example, you want to water the plant in your garden. You draw the garden hose, but then water is not coming out. What happens? There's a kink in the hose. The question is, if you don't go in and basically take the kink out, water will not be coming out of the garden hose. Similarly, when you hear all the things from Sarvapriyananda Maharaj or the Swamis, if you don't understand what they're saying, you don't clarify in your mind what they're talking about by asking questions after questions after questions, you will not get there. So the point is that a lot of devotees will come all the way from Boston, all the way from Providence, 6 hours of round trip. If you basically come in here, listen to something, and your question doesn't get answered, are you getting a return on investment of your time? I would venture to say, no, you don't. Because your learning stops when you have a question and that question doesn't get answered. Okay? With that background, let's talk about the state of the center as is today. First, the center, we have one Swami is visiting us every month. Number one. Second, the Swami is basically oftentimes when they come in here, they're visiting for a day or two. So they will spend some time over here and then they will go in and basically spend time in the devotee's place where they are residing. There may be some kind of a so-called informal satsang may happen over there. But a lot of people may not be open to basically going and having private conversation with the monk in their private residence. So all the questions are not there. Second, when you have a question and answer session over here, with 15 or 20 minutes, half an hour of time, if you ask the question, you may have when you get the answer. For example, Mataji, I was asked her a question this morning. She said something that triggered another question, and I asked. And that will again, you have to have those private conversation and clarification to understand the philosophical stuff because there's a deep meaning in there. So we have to have that interaction. Now, what does is today is we don't have that luxury. We don't have that. So all the investment that you're making 6 hour drive, people coming in all the way away from your Vyavaharic Jivan, you are not getting the benefit of it. So plus, the other thing is not in this lecture, having so-called satsang, go meditation, everything. Those things are not happening today. With now, the question comes up, as I said, when you are saying you're creating a lecture for the monks It was said the ultimate goal is to have a full-fledged center. Now, that may not happen on day one. That may happen later on, actually, because it depends on a lot of other factors coming into play. But even if we don't have that on day one, Mark visiting with us today, if they can reside, you now have access to the monk to answer all your questions. So those I call is a very transactional view of things, the reality that's today, and what you can get when you have a monk in his residing over here. Now, those of our devotees over here who were initiated by Swami Swananda Maharaj, this is a very emotional thing for them. They're fully emotion invested. So they may not, it's all emotional for them. They will come in and help. For others like myself, it's purely transactional. What's in it for me? What value does it provide? As I told you, significant value is going to accrue out of this investment that we are going to make. Said, understand one thing. This center has some unique challenges. It is a small city. We are flanked by two very prominent centers on two sides. We are almost like an island in the ocean, limited devotee base. Unless you come together to help in this whole initiative, it's not going to happen. So it's your choice. You can sit there and let the generous guide in the coattail of generous people who will be devoting and not doing anything yourself, or you can join hands together to come in and make this project a success. Now, you be the judge as to what moves of action you want to take. And with that, thank you for your time.
So, what a great starting this afternoon. Ratnadi, Doladi, Shanta, and the great VVCC choir. Such a great, very, very divineful and blissful divine singing this afternoon, setting the good tone. And thank you. And Deepata, that is your reach to devotees for the expansion of our center to the monk residence, and it's getting along. And we need to do a good part there. And hopefully, one fine morning, we will see our center growing into a full-fledged one. And now, I think we took enough time off for Mataji. We can't wait to hear her next session. Next 45 minutes or 15 minutes, we are going to have another wonderful experience this afternoon. Let's all get started. With that, I would like to welcome Mataji to start her second session this afternoon. Thank you.
Namaste everyone. We finished Bhojananand and Bhajananand. And if I can tell you the essence of Deepak Das' message, we have some money, but it's still in your pocket. So now we will resume our study of happiness. And before I go into Brahmanand, which we are going to study now, see the best picture of Brahmanand you'll find sitting there. Just the picture of Thakur. If you concentrate on that picture, a lot will come to you. For the simple reason that is the state of Brahmanand. He was in that state when this picture was clicked, when this photo was taken. For the first time, a mind immersed in God has been captured. Do you know how that photo was taken? How many of you know it? Well, not many. Good, I'll tell you here. See, it's very interesting how this photo was taken. Sri Ramakrishna was averse to photography. He never wanted to be photographed. So devotees would not dare. In those days, you see, the 1880, you have to bring that box camera, which was a huge one, and then make lots of adjustments and then take the photograph. So it so happened that one day, one of the devotees in Dakshineshwar called Bhavanath, he was a close devotee of Thakur, he came to Dakshineshwar quietly with a photographer. He wanted a a photo of Sri Ramakrishna. And he knew very well Sri Ramakrishna didn't like it. So he brought the photographer who was just behind him quietly, and he was trying to see how he will be able to take this photograph. Now, Sri Ramakrishna, as soon as he would have noticed the camera, he would have said something very negative. So they wouldn't reveal the camera. Fortunately for us, on that day, Naren was in the temple. The Vivekanand, Narendranath Datta was there. And as soon as he saw Bhavnath, he said, who's he? And then Bhavnath said, well, I have silently brought a photographer because I want to take a photograph of Sri Ramakrishna. But how will this be possible? And Naren said, you don't worry, I'll make it possible. So what Naren did, he took Thakur to, you know those steps of Radhakanta temple in Dakshineshwar? Just next to Mother Kali's temple, there is a temple of Krishna and Radha. So he took Thakur there, made him sit on those steps and started talking about God. Now the least suggestions of God consciousness, the very name of the Divine Mother would send Sri Ramakrishna into Samadhi, isn't it? We have read in the life. Just the utterance of Ma Kali would send him into that state, or just the Charanamrit would send him into that state. So when Naren began this conversation on Mother, in a few seconds, Sri Ramakrishna was deep in Samadhi. And the same posture, sitting like this, and deeply absorbed, completely oblivious of the world, his gaze completely withdrawn within, eyes slightly open, and utterly unconscious of the world around him. Wrapped in divine communion and radiating bliss, it would hit the devotees around him. It used to be like that kind of a radiant light emanating. Now, when this happened, Naren signaled to Bhavnath, take the photo. Bhavnath, they quickly got the camera ready and they focused on Thakur. And the cameraman actually noticed that, Sri Ramakrishna had slightly tilted forward because he was sitting on those steps. So he had tilted like this in that sitting posture. So he boldly went in front and tried to correct the tilt by lifting Sri Ramakrishna's chin. He tried to do that. As soon as he touched Sri Ramakrishna's chin, the whole frame of Sri Ramakrishna came up. As if it was a paper frame. The highest state of yoga, you can read it in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, in any work on yoga, it makes the entire system very light, completely, buoyant and transparent sort of. Light, the frame itself becomes light. The entire frame of Sri Ramakrishna came up. He got so stunned, he quickly placed it down and ran back to because he couldn't understand what it is. He ran back to his camera and quickly took the photograph. And so we have this photograph today. This is how Sri Ramakrishna's first photo was taken. And everyone was so stunned by what happened. Later on, the photo was shown to Sri Ramakrishna. And he said, this is the highest state of yoga, Brahmananda. And in years to come, this picture will be worshipped all over the world. People will carry it in their pockets and lockets. People will understand that this is the reach of human consciousness, a consciousness that has evolved. Human evolution means this. Darwin's theory of evolution, you can apply to the animal world. Yes, survival of the fittest and natural selection. But when it comes to human evolution, psycho-social evolution should lead to spiritual evolution, to manifest the highest levels of consciousness possible. And here you have that complete picture of Brahmanand. That is why this picture is so powerful, this photograph. It has changed minds all over the world. Everywhere today it is worshipped because it is the highest state of yoga. This is what brings genuine fulfillment independent of objects in the human life. So Sri Ramakrishna's very picture demonstrates what we are discussing here in its highest form. Brahmananda, what we were talking of, is, the joy of full awareness, full consciousness. When the self manifests fully through this body-mind complex, the person tastes of Brahmananda. So the state then is called Samadhi, which you have heard of. Every book on yoga will talk to you about Samadhi. It is the state of complete consciousness. It is the state of, now zero bondage, Nirvana. Nirvana means Jaha Avaran Chala Gaya Hai. That is Nirvana. No more any veil of illusion is there. The crystal clear mind has plunged into complete consciousness. It is the state of perfect, you can say, godhood. And so they radiate that light, that bliss. And it is a state of complete raptness. Means you're enwrapped, captured by that luminosity of consciousness. So this is what is the culmination, acme of human evolution. Isn't it pretty obvious? What are we aiming at in life? We should check that through our careers, through our professions, our relationships, our families, our homes and cars and jewelry and everything that we have collected around us. What are we finally aiming at? What should all this give us? Ultimately, you're only aiming at the highest evolution of your own consciousness. We keep thinking it lies in objects. It lies in a bigger salary. It lies in more cars. We keep thinking this way. Finally, we come to understand that these are all, you can say, they will add a lot of value to our life in terms of comfort and security and status. We observed that in a slide, yes? But the essential bliss of our being does not come through objects. It comes by the transformation of our own mind. It comes by the complete expression of our own being. It comes through pure consciousness. That is Brahmanand. So if we are to understand this, you must actually scan through the complete reach of human mind and consciousness. And that is why we have the science of consciousness coming through yoga and Vedanta. Even if we can't capture the experience fully just now, at least this idea should be there that this is where I want to go. When I can be happy by myself. When I can be completely fulfilled within myself, by myself. And I don't depend on an object to keep me entertained and engaged. This is the real independence, isn't it, of human life? This is what is called freedom, mukti. Mukti, you're mukta from everything and yet completely blissful. So you see, I will present a few more slides pertaining to how we are studying this and how to go into this. Both will be covered in these slides. Just go into this. See, today, this is how happiness is being measured. Happiness is currently measured using 3 factors: positive emotions, absence of negative emotions, and life satisfaction. So you have all these scales, the PANA scale, the SWLS scale, and the SHS scale. PANA scale is quite common. I don't know. Those of you who are psychologists here will be knowing about it. It is the positive effect and negative effect schedule. In our ordinary minds, to what extent are we in positive moods and negative moods? And how long is the duration of the positive? This explains the PANA scale. This is what the PANA scale is about. But Yoga Vedant use other parameters. Please see that. They use 4 parameters. First is self-transcendence. Ego-bound life does not exhaust all the possibilities of happiness. As we climb the ladder of evolution, we will see that the greater the transcendence of ego, the greater the happiness. Isn't this pretty obvious, tell me? If the ego is really very fat in us, even if you have 1,000 objects around you, we won't have happiness. Isn't it? The ego will keep clashing with all sorts of small things and exhaust our possibilities in those clashes. So take care of this self-transcendence, means getting out of the ego-bound life, freeing the mind will bring greater happiness. Then the duration of happiness. See, all of higher happiness, spiritual happiness, the state of samadhi, you don't have any track of time because mind has vanished, only self shines forth. So the duration of that happiness is very long. It is lasting. In fact, it is everlasting. It creates the prajna sanskar. It is always there with you. So the mind remains perpetually happy. But any other form of happiness is limited for the time you are enjoying the object. And that also, it's a very small form of enjoyment. And the duration of it's a fleeting experience, isn't it? One ice cream cone, how long can it keep you happy? Now, even if you eat 4 ice cream cones, your happiness is not going to increase. See, this is the nature of happiness in objects. Make it clear to your own mind. This is the whole point. Our mind, this is all original research. Our own mind has to understand these concepts. Another parameter for measuring happiness in Yoga Vedanta is ineffable joy. Ineffable means you can't express it through language, through any form of expression. It can't be expressed. You see, there are joys like that, isn't it? Suppose I tell me what is the taste of ghee, clarified butter. Anybody can tell me? Ghee is ghee. How to describe it? So, you see, some things cannot be expressed. The smile on your infant's face, can you ever describe it? The deep peace of meditation, can you describe it? You can still describe the taste of coffee, but you can't describe the peace of meditation. The glory of a beautiful sunset, can you describe it fully as you feel it? These are all deep felt, profound experiences of happiness which are ineffable. They don't come under the purview of language or any form of expression. And then the extent to which you can tolerate problems and negativities is also a measure of happiness. Please know this. A buoyant, happy mind can bear with anything. It can remain happy. But a really anxious, depressed mind, at the least sight of trouble, it will collapse. It will break down. Isn't this true? So, negativity tolerance, ambiguity tolerance, problem tolerance, all this depends upon the quality of your happiness. What kind of inner life we have. See, all these are independent of objects outside. Please see. If our mind is in a particular state of mind, happiness is a state of mind. If we have cultured our mind to remain buoyant and happy by itself, because it is deeply aware and clear, then you will be able to stand all the difficulties of life, all the vicissitudes of life. Otherwise, at every point, we keep breaking down and creating more and more anxiety for ourselves. Then look at this. These are the, you can say, personalities exuding the greatest levels of happiness. You can see it on their faces. The Buddha, wherever he walked for 2 miles around him, a radius of 2 miles, people could feel the peace, the stillness, the bliss. That was the personality of the Buddha. At one time, half of India became monastic looking at that face. That is the power of spirituality. I want you to see. If it's there in you, it will radiate around you. If it is there in you, you can transmit it, even without trying. So the extent to which we cultivate it, we will exude real intelligence and bliss. The face of Sri Ramakrishna. How it would appear? One of his disciples has described it. It looked like a cracked melon, about to, burst forth with all that, flavor and juice of it. It would appear like that. And looking at Thakur's smile, everyone used to feel it is so divine, something beatific about him. He radiated that beatitude, divine, a kind of divine feeling would come whenever Sri Ramakrishna was around, for the simple reason it's an awakened heart. Jesus Christ, on the cross, he is praying for those who put him on the cross. Oh Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. What must be the state of that mind? Imagine. This is the highest evolution of human consciousness, divine consciousness. Their divinity was so manifest that, see, when you come across beings like this, we simply stop and you're forced to think, where am I moving? What am I moving towards? So devotion yields even devotion to these personalities will deal a very high degree of happiness. Because they are in the state of Brahmanand. They are radiating the highest possible intelligence and bliss. Now let's go a bit into this, the yogic view of happiness. I gave you this idea in the morning session also. See, when there is a stable vritti means a thought, a modification of your mind, and the same pratyay means the content of the thought. See, just now I'm thinking of happiness. So the modifications in my mind are about happiness and the content is happiness. Right? When the same vritti and the same pratyay are cultivated in the mind, again and again emerge in the mind, you get the state of ekagrata, one-pointedness. Now, whatever you are concentrating upon will become dear to you. It will give you happiness. Check this out and see. Concentration gives happiness. Concentration gives love. You may not have liked mathematics when you were a kid, but you were forced to do it, and then mathematics major you entered into, and then you had to do your graduation, post-graduation in math. You concentrated so much, now you just love it. You can't live without it. Have you seen this? Concentration, ekagrata will make the object dear. So if you don't like something, deeply concentrate on it and you will make it your own. That is why yoga, meditation, when you meditate on any object, you sort of internalize that object completely. Now that object will be the cause for your joy, for your emotion. It will invoke deep emotion within you. That is why whether we have deep devotion or not, just if you practice meditation, sagun sakar upasana, you will start developing devotion. This is the way to bhakti. I told you, never let go of the spiritual practice for this reason. The more you concentrate on divine personalities, the more devotion grows in our heart. This is the way of the mind. Simple psychology of yoga I'm describing. So don't ask me the question in the Q&A that how to develop bhakti, Mataji. Just concentrate on God. That's all. And bhakti will grow in your heart. It's magical, I'm telling you. Now you see the steps to happiness which yoga psychology describes: calm mind in focus mode, sajatya ekagra vritti pravaha, inner contentment, what is called santosha, and the method of maitri karuna mudita upeksha, to keep away negativity. What it means to say is, towards everything coming into your life, you will have these particular attitudes. Maitri means a deeply friendly attitude towards all beings. Karuna means a compassionate attitude towards those who are suffering. Mudita means you are happy at those who are joyous. And upeksha means you are reserved with those who are, you're sort of indifferent to those who are harmful in your life. Toxic people are there, but you are not going to retaliate. You are going to remain reserved and a little indifferent, distanced. This is the way Patanjali describes to maintain inner calmness and balance, which are so essential for happiness. Isn't it? We have all these questions. I am doing everything right, but there are so many in my workplace, a whole lot of toxic people. What to do? Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upeksha. Keep your inner milieu, your inner engagement very positive. Your inner life should be bright with these attitudes. And do not have harsh retaliations, emotions towards anyone. Don't judge and label. The critics suffer the most. They don't realize it. So unless we learn this art of happiness, our own mind will not allow us to stay happy. You may say, but in practical life, you're required to judge right and wrong and good and bad. Yes, relative judgments are there, but To absolutely label something as absolutely good, absolutely bad, toxic is not right. Everything is changing. Do you know? The person whom you're blaming today, in 3 years' time, he will be somebody else. But you will carry on with your whatever emotion. So take care of it. Everything changes in time. Hmm? Don't allow your mind to stagnate along those lines. So you see, then the conclusions of yoga psychology. Please have a good look at this slide. Now, first, let me go to the graph A. See, this is the ordinary mind. What happens is when good things happen, you're on a high, bad things happen, you're on a low. Yes, high, low, high, low. But you always come back to the base level of happiness. Check this out in your life. Yes, you come back to the base level of happiness invariably because then you find your comfort there. So, happiness mapped against time will give you this kind of a graph. Now, what yoga does for you is it will raise this base level of happiness itself very high. The practice of meditation and spiritual practice, what it does for you is this base level of happiness goes up high. I don't have that pointer, otherwise I would have shown it on the screen. The base level of happiness, the dotted line goes high up on the happiness axis. So when it goes up, now your fluctuations diminish automatically. Please see. Right? Only yoga, meditation has the capacity to do this for you. Otherwise, up and down, up and down, up and down, we are going all the time. Okay? But when the base level of happiness itself is raised, now you know that the peace and joy in your heart is really, it always comes from this kind of an elevated space. It comes from divine consciousness. It comes by concentration on God. It comes by japa. It comes by music. It comes from deep engagement with something very great and elevating. Your base level happiness now has raised itself to such an extent. Now those good things happening, bad things happening don't affect you that much. Yes, this is the way to overcome the dualities and polarities of life. Yes? Check this out and see if this is true or not. Otherwise, outer incidents, circumstances, people, objects will consume all your energy. Unless there is a solid practice in personal life, we will miss this, Mind is always shaky, going up and down, up and down. So then you go to B. You just watch the graph B. That is a graph which denotes your vital energies, the pran shakti within you. As you raise that, automatically your awareness is raised. That is what the graph is indicating. Which means, how do I become deeply aware? We have this question, isn't it? How do I cultivate awareness? See, my students ask me these questions. Mataji, you're talking of consciousness. How do I cultivate it? See, you are already the Atman, but you only know that much of the Atman as manifest in your mind. As much as it manifests in your mind as mental awareness, you know only that much of it right now. So how do you increase this awareness? When you regulate vital energy in your own system, vitality, you raise your awareness automatically. So then how to regulate this vitality? A sattvic lifestyle. Most important, lifestyle regulation is required. Get used to sattva. Clean, good exposures, every day, very good exposures to great thoughts, devotion to these great personalities. This is the way to regulate vital energies. Otherwise, it will keep wasting it away in all kinds of silly thoughts, stupid emotions, and all kinds of boring activities, which will leave you drained at the end of the day. So the more you conserve vital energy, the more your awareness will manifest. Please know. Go to graph C. See, that is a C and D are very important graphs because they are telling you the actual essence of the science of happiness. Happiness is directly proportional to awareness. In fact, happiness is an exponential function of your awareness. The greater your awareness is, the higher happiness you will feel. And if there is poor awareness due to various factors, we never invested in spiritual practice. What will happen? All kinds of worries, negativities, anger, the whole stock of memory which we have stored will come into play. And when awareness levels decrease, automatically happiness is going to decrease. Remember this always. Happiness is an exponential function of awareness. When awareness diminishes, you are on shaky ground. Happiness also will decline. Then you require instruments to keep you happy. Yes, some of my young students in IITs, they can't do without mobile phone. Yes, every 15 minutes to unless they are in their labs, they require to see it. They require constant distraction, otherwise they don't feel good. This is what is called the dopamine effect, isn't it? You see how we are being hardwired towards this kind of a synthetic joy, which actually has no content, no meaning. We all need a digital detox and a dopamine detox. Please make it possible in your own lives, I'm telling you. Otherwise, the mind will continue to work like this. I require to keep seeing something to keep me engaged and happy. I require to be doing something on my phone to keep me engaged and happy. Otherwise, I'll go crazy. So this should never reduce yourself to these states. That is why these graphs are being given to you. Remember, happiness is an exponential function of never lose on your awareness. These are the actual conclusions of yoga. It is given in very different ways, okay, but I put it together in a scientific format because my students are all IIT material. They will understand it this way only. So it was actually created for them. So now we will derive a few equations based on this, okay? Is it going over the head? No, thank you. So you see how Anand or bliss is the inherent feature of prajna, or what we call awareness or consciousness. Once we understand this, bliss and awareness are deeply related, then you can derive these equations. You see, the first is one first imagines joy to reside in objects. O, object is equal to happiness. Next, one observes and understands joy is a state of mind generated by the object. See, this much we all understand actually, isn't it? So, object created a particular state of mind which gave me happiness. But finally, the third point is finally one understands joy is a property of the self reflected by the mind and superimposed on the object. This requires meditation to be able to understand this equation. This is a kind of Vishayi Adhyas. The import is that the joy, which is the dharma of the Vishayi, the subject, is superimposed on the Vishaya, the object. And children are a characteristic example. What I mean to say by this is, see, when you don't understand the source of your joy, you will tend to find that joy in things around you. You'll superimpose. You'll give the credit to things in your life, which produce that state of mind. Actually, what happened? It was the bliss of the self which got reflected in your mind because the mind suddenly became very clear and sattvic. Yes. But that object was close to you, so you superimpose that bliss on the object and give credit to the object. Oh, this person was in my life, so I was so happy. I had 3 cars and then I was really happy. Jewelry always gives me joy. Check and see how much. See, I'm not advocating mendicancy. I'm not telling you don't bring objects into your life. All I'm telling you is objects give limited experience and limited joys. The essential bliss of your being comes from within yourself. If you are in a clear state of mind, you'll be happy with or without object. Yes, with or without the jewelry, with or without so many cars, you'll still be happy. And it is important to understand this. All these great ones, this is what they came to show us, that you must understand the source of happiness essentially. And then, yes, you do your dharma, you do your profession, you invest in objects to the extent you require them. Do all of that. But don't behave as if your life depended on that. For many people, it's a life and death issue. They want something and they absolutely want it because that essential vivek is lacking. At least we should come to the understanding happiness finally is a state of my mind. If I maintain my mind in a particular state, I will remain happy with or without the object. But in samadhi, you will understand this, that happiness is not even a state of mind. It is the essence of my being. It got reflected in the mind when the mind was clear enough and I superimposed it on the object. So this is the equation we must understand at some point or the other in life. Then we will invest in the higher life. Isn't it? Tell me, it's only due to the right understanding that we change our ways. So in our own way, we must understand these equations. And then you see the quality of our life is not dependent on the objects you collect around you. The quality of life depends upon the state of your mind and your awareness. You will invest in that. So you will invest in the spiritual life. That is the only purpose, please understand, of all these interactions and these ashrams and whatever they are wanting to make. The only purpose is this, that we enter the life spiritual and get the bliss which is already our inherent nature, not apart from us. So Bhagavad Gita, you see, will summarize the whole thing for us here. See, what is sattvic happiness? I've been using that word, sattva. The nature of sattva is, its characteristics are, it brings joy to the soul and intellect through tranquility by control of senses and mind. And its effects are, it is like poison at first, but nectar at the end. Yes, when you tell youngsters, well, don't be so chasing objects, they'll think, what is she saying? It's poison. But this is nectar at the end. Then conclusion is, it leads to long-term satisfaction. Rajasic joys, they ensure from the contact of the senses with sense objects. They are like nectar at first, but poison at the end. And they lead to short-term satisfaction. Isn't this true? And tamasic joys have the power to stupefy and destroy. Yes, the Shadripus, Kama, Krodha, Mada, Lobha, Moha, Matsarya. If this is dominating in the mind, it's a tamasic mind. It will stupefy but destroy, and it is born of indolence and obstinacy. The effects are, it's an indolent life, obstinate life, and it leads only to depression. See, this is the equation which modern psychology should understand. Tamas will give rise to depression. There is no other cause for depression. A mind which has lost touch with awareness is depressed. A mind which is dense with the Shadripus, the 6 enemies, lust, anger, hatred, jealousy, it will suffer depression. A mind which has poor awareness will suffer anxiety, over anxiety and depression. So we must understand what causes these effects. So the implications are then, look at the slide, happiness depends on the state of your mind. A pure sattvic mind is always happy with or without objects. For every state, there is a degree of associated happiness. To maximize your happiness, clarify and intensify the state of your mind. Transcending mind through yoga gives the highest happiness. This is the summary. Bhagavad Gita is the summary of the Upanishads. Then you see obstacles to happiness. This also we should know. What are the obstacles to our happiness? First of all, from the spiritual standpoint, alienation of mind from its source, the self. A poorly aware mind will be a huge obstacle in your life. Second is emotional insecurities. Messing up with our emotions and our relationships will lead to emotional insecurities. Please take care of this and teach it to your children and Gen Z. Yes, then even the beta generation will get it slowly. Because this is where modern societies are faltering. This is a cause for a whole lot of problems in our societies, isn't it? Emotional insecurities, what are they due to? Uncommitted relationships. I'm sorry to say this, but this is a big problem. When relationships are uncommitted and, taken very lightly, when you're messing up with your own emotion and the emotions of others, it will lead to emotional insecurity. Take care of this, otherwise this one thing can ruin your entire plan of happiness. Yes, because emotional intelligence is more important than IQ. Third is the mind conditioned into negativity. Yes, wrong conditioning will produce great obstacles to happiness. So you see, what now some of the practical effects of these are, see, the perfectionist, too much expectation and too acute about unnecessary things, the micromanagers will face a lot of obstacle towards happiness. Be a little broad and comprehensive and try to, don't micromanage everything. And then you'll see the mind broadens automatically. Social comparisons lead to jealousy and inferiority. They will remove your happiness. A purely materialistic philosophy, judging everything by the pleasure it gives, is the number one cause for unhappiness. Then the maximizers, basically they are the greedy people, want more even when satisfied. They will face great obstacles to happiness. They are unable to enjoy the present moment and have no gratitude. So if you don't have gratitude and don't bless everything in your life for the bounties that life has given you, you will never be happy. So start your day with gratitude, a prayer of gratitude. Thank you, O Lord. The very fact that we live on this day is a matter of gratitude, isn't it? That we are able to smile, exchange thoughts, be here. Are we grateful? See, the food we received on our plate. How many people's labor has gone into that one plate of food? At least 20 people have slogged that plate of food came in front of me. Am I grateful? Did I thank God for it? This is gratefulness, gratitude. Without gratitude, there is no happiness.